Hello one and all to DC Wood Reviews, the Arrowverse. Instead of going throughout history this week, we're going right up to date, and I finished watching Batwoman Season 1 here in the UK, so with that fresh in my mind and still a hot topic for discussion, let's get underway with this review. Now, there's a lot to discuss for this one. As usual, I'll be going over the pros and cons of this particular Arrowverse season, but with the controversy surrounding Ruby Rose's shocking departure from the show and the decision not to recast the role of Kane, I'll be discussing that as well before giving my conclusion on this debut season for Batwoman. When I first started this series for YouTube earlier on in the year, I'd resolved to go over each of the seasons for the Arrowverse shows in order of the date that they were each broadcast. So Arrow Season 1, then Arrow Season 2, then The Flash Season 1, etc. Normally, the only way I can watch these CW shows is when they're released on DVD. Batwoman was different because it was broadcast on E4 here in the UK, so I was actually able to watch it week after week for a change, and I've only just finished watching it now. Batwoman Season 1 premiered on the CW on 6th of October 2019. It was originally going to last the obligatory 22 episodes, but production was shut down before filming could wrap completely, thanks to COVID-19, meaning that the 20th episode ended up being the season finale, airing on 17th of May 2020. Here in the UK, Batwoman first aired on E4 on 29th of March this year, and then finished the run on 9th of August, which was last weekend for me. The premise of Batwoman is this. It's 2019, Batman and Bruce Wayne mysteriously vanished 3 years prior to the start of the show. Higher society has renounced the Bat, and the Crows, a private security firm, have risen to defend Gotham City. But on the evening that the Bat signal is to be switched off permanently, a new threat has also risen to terrorise Gotham: the maniacal criminal Alice with her Wonderland gang in tow. Alice has targeted the Crow's commander, Jacob Kane, and his family, and abducts top agent Sophie Moore. Enter Kate Kane, Jacob's daughter, Sophie's ex, and the cousin of Bruce Wayne. She's been survival training overseas for years and finally comes home upon learning what's happening. And as she finds herself embroiled deep in her past demons once again, Kate also finds herself thrust into a whole new world and taking on the mantle of Gotham's newest Dark Knight. With new friends and allies by her side, Batwoman is born. Now, I watched that trailer for the pilot last year. I am well aware that the overall reaction was completely hostile, but my attitude after seeing that trailer was wait until you've actually seen the show first, then cast judgment. Given that the CW had already proven their track record with the success and popularity of Arrow, The Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow and Black Lightning, I was confident that Batwoman could be another winner. Now that I've finished the first season, I will say that it ended up being great, a fantastic show, but it doesn't start that way, and it takes ages to change gears. Starting with the pros. From an artistic and production standpoint, there's much about this show that's worthy of Batman. Like most of the other Arrowverse shows, Batwoman is filmed in Vancouver in Canada, but additional footage was also shot in Chicago, Illinois, in the US. Chicago is a fantastic city, and of course, The Dark Knight was primarily filmed in Chicago. The cinematography in The Dark Knight was one of the many things that made that film so perfect, and seeing the shots of Chicago spliced with Vancouver so seamlessly, it results in a terrific rendition of Gotham City to behold. Other things. The set design of the new Batcave that's situated at Wayne Tower. This is cool. I liked it a lot. Kate's office at Wayne Tower, the secret elevator that leads down to this Batcave, it's so cool. I've always loved the production that's gone into sets like the Arrow Bunker, Star Labs, the DEO headquarters, the Wave Rider, the Fortress of Solitude, etc. This Batcave looks and feels exactly like something Batman or any of the Bat family would use. It's perfect. The gadgets, the accessories, the new Bat bike that Batwoman uses in this show, the design of the suit itself, it's all genuinely great. I love it. It's visually fantastic. Now, regardless of whether those who've seen this show, regardless of whether you love it or you hate it, the one thing I would recommend Batwoman for more than anything is Rachel Skarsten as Alice. When it was announced that Alice would be the big bad for season 1, I was immediately intrigued. From what I could gather about the original Batwoman comics, Alice is actually Batwoman's arch nemesis, and it translates perfectly onto screen. Alice is a very Joker-esque villain, but has plenty of her own traits, theatricality and depth to distinct her from the Joker. Alice is one of the most tragic villains in the entire Arrowverse, yet also malevolent and terrifying. Rachel Skarsten shows such versatility in the role and proves to be the perfect foil for Kane, the perfect polar opposite for Batwoman. It's as fascinating as it is horrifying to learn of Alice's origins throughout this first season, and the most dramatic moments involve Rachel's interactions with Ruby Rose and also her interactions with Sam Littlefield, who plays Mouse, a great villain in his own right. There's no doubt that Rachel Skarsten is the MVP of this show, and Alice is easily in my top 10 Arrowverse villains. There's a great supporting cast on hand too. Cameron Johnson as Luke Fox, the son of Lucius Fox, is a deep, brilliant supporting character to Kane, just as his father was to Bruce Wayne. Luke gets a great arc this season. So does Mary Hamilton Kane, Kate's stepsister, who's portrayed by Nicole Kang. When we first meet Mary, we assume that she's just a ditzy rich girl, med student, but it's actually revealed in the pilot that she runs an illegal clinic to help people who've been let down by Gotham's failing medical system. Both Cameron and Nicole give ace performances throughout the season and are just a joy to behold, bringing their characters to life. As I said before, Batwoman Season 1 is a season of two halves, with the first half being very meh overall. But, and this is a very big but, when it changes into a higher gear, it becomes truly engaging. The mid-season finale, A Mad Tea Party, that is a real game changer of an episode with a cracking plot, much improved choreography, real drama and terrific performances, and a tragic ending that changes the course of the whole show. Then Crisis on Infinite Earths happens, which is perhaps the greatest Arrowverse crossover of all time. That leaves plenty more ramifications for the show to explore. Crisis is an amazingly good episode for Batwoman, but the aftermath takes the show to even bigger heights. From then on, Batwoman Season 1 snowballs with several fantastic subplots and episodes that form a thrilling story arc. So many conspiracies and character moments run wild, but with such a compelling narrative overall. On Birthday Present, Take Your Choice, Off With Her Head, which is the most macabre hour of Arrowverse television I've ever seen. Through the Looking Glass, the second half of the season is absolutely brilliant. It's chocker with stellar episode after stellar episode for the remainder of the season. And all things considered, with Batwoman Season 1 having to end prematurely, Oh Mouse is an excellent finale that makes fans want to tune in for Season 2. Of course, it's a journey to get to the good stuff about Batwoman. There's a lot of dross to sift through. in the first half before we get to a mad tea party. There's villains of the week like Tommy Elliot, more on him later, and Magpie, that really don't match the richness and depth of Alice and Mouse, although Magpie does become a more prominent character later on in the season. Then there's the traditional covering of societal issues, i.e. in this case sexuality and homophobia. Now, I don't have a problem with the CW covering real life issues like these in their superhero shows. It's just that it's been done much better in Arrow, Flash, Legends and Supergirl. Black Lightning was intense and heavy going with its handling of such issues, but I don't think it was ever as ham-fisted as it is here in Batwoman Season 1. The pilot for this season, it's decent if you're being kind, but to be honest, I expected much better things from the pilot. The pilot episodes of Arrow and the Flash blew me away immediately. Supergirl's pilot had serious heart. Legends of Tomorrow's two-part pilot was so much fun. Constantine and Black Lightning both had great pilots. Bottom line, these shows have to make the right impression straight away, and Batwoman doesn't quite achieve that. It's okay and intriguing, but it's betrayed by terrible dialogue and fight scenes that just don't compare with the likes of Arrow or Marvel's Daredevil. And there are some really lame fight scenes that plague the season's first half as well. Although, to be fair, the choreography and direction receive a major overhaul later on in the show, and you get treated to some much improved fight scenes that are thrilling to behold. Again, in a mad tea party, and later episodes like Through the Looking Glass, If You Believe in Me, I'll Believe in You, and A Secret Kept from All the Rest. Those are the best examples I can give where the fight scenes are so much better and they're actually very good to watch. Going back to the supporting cast, Luke, Mary and Julia Pennyworth are all great. The rest of the supporting cast, not so great. Elizabeth Ann Wise as Catherine Hamilton Kane, Mary's mother and Kate's stepmother. The character is a shady businesswoman who really doesn't have the same richness of Arrow's Moira Queen, and it's only in one episode that we actually get to see the character put to brilliant use. Dougray Scott as Jacob Kane. The character is a cliche and somewhat two-dimensional. Dougray is brilliant and acts for hell out of all the material he's given, but his role in the show feels like a poor man's version of Arrow's Quentin Lance. Then there's Agent Sophie Moore, played by Megan Tandy. Sophie is by far the weakest character in this show. Kate's ex, who is constantly struggling with her sexuality. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's literally all there is to Sophie. You compare Sophie Moore to, say, Alex Danvers from Supergirl. Alex was introduced and established as a three-dimensional character long before she struggled with and embraced her status as a lesbian. Alex's coming-out storyline made her an even stronger character. With Sophie, there's none of that richness to find. And it's not just comparing her to Alex, it's every other Arrowverse character that's gay or bisexual. Curtis Holt, Mr. Terrific, Anissa Pierce, Thunder, Nissa Al Ghul, Ava Sharp, William Clayton, John Constantine, Sarah Lance, the White Canary, and of course Kate Kane, Batwoman, all have so much more going for them as characters than just their sexual identity. Sophie Moore just has none of that depth going for her, none whatsoever. Plus, when you see how things ended between her and Kate, you've got very little sympathy for Sophie. Megan Tandy does everything she can with what she's given here. She does a great job, but as the love interest and a character, Sophie Moore is severely lacking. Other problems, Sophie's husband Tyler isn't a character. He's just a plot device to fuel another tedious love triangle no one wants to see. The Crows are pretty much a pointless, useless organisation. They're nowhere near as essential as Argus or the DEO. We get to see the Arrowverse debut of Hush, which is cool on one hand, but it's another casualty of lacking the necessary depth the character should possess. Grayston Holt is fantastic as Tommy Elliot, and the character plays a much meatier role in the proceedings of the second half of this season. But you compare this version of Hush to the one Jeff Loeb created for the legendary Batman Hush saga, it's no contest, really. No comparison. As good as the production is overall, some elements let things down further, with frantic camera changes and a poor choice of soundtrack here and there. This can be particularly jarring in some of the action scenes, which is further annoying. I haven't talked about the show's lead until now because I felt this topic deserved a section all to itself. When it was announced that Batwoman would be making her Arrowverse debut in the 2018 crossover Elseworlds, I was really intrigued. To be honest, I previously felt Batwoman was something of a redundant character. I mean, why have Batwoman when you've already got Batgirl? This was long before I was properly exposed to the character of Kane, by the way. I watched Elseworlds, and to me, Batwoman was the best part of that crossover. Ruby Rose immediately won me over as Kane and her alter ego. I loved the costume, I loved the part she played in Elseworlds, and I was immediately excited to check out this new show. When I saw Batwoman's pilot, though, Ruby Rose's performance wasn't as strong as it had been in Elseworlds. The character of Kane is absolutely great and is so well developed throughout this first season, but Ruby Rose really didn't nail the role straight away here, like Stephen Amell, Grant Gustin, Melissa Benoist, Matt Ryan and Cress Williams did in their shows. However, and this is a very big however, when the storyline picks up in A Mad Tea Party and Crisis on Infinite Earths, Ruby also really improves in the role and ultimately settles into it. Charismatic, tragic, funny, courageous, haunted by a past and future, Kane is truly brought to life by Ruby's performances, and she ultimately proves herself as Batwoman. Batwoman's best scenes are truly with Rachel Skarsten, Cameron Johnson and Nicole Kang, and they make for fantastic viewing, especially in the final batch of episodes. It's also great to see her get more screen time with Melissa Benoist's Supergirl in the crossover. There's plenty of amazing moments to behold with the main lead. Now, when it was announced that Ruby Rose had quit the role after only one season, I was truly shocked. But I can understand all the stuff that had to have played a factor in her controversial exit. When Ruby was first cast, she received a ton of abuse from trolls and haters online, so much to the point that she actually had to close her Twitter account. She was nearly paralysed in a stunt that went badly wrong, and she needed surgery. Ruby was also working late hours filming. She was away in Vancouver filming. I can't imagine how tough that kind of schedule is. I'm just so used to seeing all the main leads in the Arrowverse shows having done such a great job and persevering over the years that I can't imagine any other actors taking on their roles. Nothing like this has ever happened before, which is why I'm still shocked about it. Anyway, I wish Ruby Rose nothing but the best going forward. She did a great job overall, and I don't have a problem with the showrunners not recasting Kane. The mystery of Kate's disappearance will hopefully result in a great storyline for season 2. And it's not as though we've never seen more than one person take on the role of Batman, is it? I mean, Terry McGinnis, Jean-Paul Valley, Dick Grayson. We've even had Commissioner Gordon be in the role. We've also had multiple Robins like Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Damian Wayne, Carrie Kelly, Stephanie Brown. There's been multiple Batgirls like Barbara Gordon, Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown. Do I have to go on? So with regards to this new Ryan Wilder character, I'm going to wait until I'm actually seeing the character in action. And as for Javicia Leslie, I wish her good luck in the new role. The only thing I'm hoping for is that we get to see Ruby Rose come back for at least a few more guest appearances, just to give Kate Kane's story the ending it deserves. So many people have review bombed the hell out of this show. It's one of the reasons why I don't trust IMDb. And they've also said that Batwoman is the worst superhero show of all time. Nope. I've seen much worse than this. Marvel's Iron Fist was 10 times worse. That show was an abomination. Marvel's Inhumans was 20 times worse. That was unspeakable. There are much worse shows out there than Batwoman, and this is far from being the single worst season in the whole Arrowverse. Batwoman Season 1 takes a long time to change gears, but when it finally does, it becomes as compelling as any other Arrowverse show and their seasons. Overall, it's a good show that's worthy of the Bat mythos, but it's not great. There's a lot of potential that still needs to be realised. This show's got fans, and it's got people who've long made up their minds that they're going to hate this show no matter what. If you haven't seen it yet, check Batwoman Season 1 out for yourself and see what you think of it. My overall rating, 7 out of 10. Now, when I'm finally up to date with all my Arrowverse reviews, I know that the next batch of shows are going to be released on home video very, very soon. Supergirl Season 5, The Flash Season 6, Legends of Tomorrow Season 5, Black Lightning Season 3. I've seen Arrow Season 8. That was absolutely amazing. But once I'm finally up to date with everything, I'm going to update my rankings accordingly. So, what did you guys think of Batwoman Season 1? Please comment, please click like and subscribe. Next time I'm going to be reviewing Crisis on Infinite Earths on DVD. Then I'm going to go back on track with a review of Supergirl Season 2. Take care of yourselves. See you next time.